Do you ever feel like happiness is fleeting and you're not really even sure how to catch a breath or even begin when it comes to living a happier, healthier life? Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and we are talking about the pursuit of happiness this week. This week we're exploring predictability of behavior, my newest book, Key Steps to Live a Happier and Healthier Life, Part 3, Interpersonal Effectiveness. We look at predictability of behavior, and I go and I talk about in that chapter all the ways in which we have human interaction and how we can actually understand behavior because it is so predictable. Our past is a determinant of our present and a predictor of our future. And when you know what that looks like, the sky is the limits for your own personal success, as well as working with others and making sure that they are achieving their goals by unifying and collaborating with yours. And so we explored today this pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness is finding ourselves in the positive cycle. So I talk a lot about the negative cycle. Distressing thought, feeling, or belief goes into avoidance, short-term relief, because we're not dealing with what is distressing, but a long-term anxiety growth. And then I built a negative cycle instead of the anxious cycle to say it gives us lack of capacity, low motivation to want to do better, and this implicit and explicit devaluing of ourselves. And that's where the bad brain is built. My book, Saying Goodbye to Bad Brain, goes through all of these things. And so when we can stay in a neutral state, mindfully ground, and be in the here and now, we can take one step towards the positive cycle. We sit with the discomfort, and then we do one thing that is uncomfortable. And we're not doing things that are grossly uncomfortable. We're doing little things that are uncomfortable. And what we find in cognitive behavioral therapy on our exposure hierarchy, if you do a bunch of little things that are uncomfortable, it will equal big things of being uncomfortable. So we look at a 6 out of 10, 10 being I will just spontaneously implode. There's no way that's ever happening. 6 being like, this is really, really uncomfortable. Like, I'm not loving this, but if I'm trying to do something good for myself, I really want to lose this weight. I really, really want this house in this neighborhood. I really, really want this type of job. And I'm willing to do something at least one time a month to get me to where I want to be in my success journey. But it's so uncomfortable that I don't even really want to write it down because I'd be so embarrassed if somebody saw it. Like, it's too much. That's a 6. A 4 is like, I don't love this. Like, I really don't love this. This does not feel good. It's very uncomfortable. I feel like I'm out of my comfort zone, but I'm just taking a step out of my comfort zone. I could do this once a week, knowing that I know what my why is, and knowing that this is getting me to where success is. And then 1 through 3s, we set intentions to do 1 through 3s every single day. Just do 1 through 3. It doesn't matter what it is. On really strong days, hit the 3. On days you feel like I barely got out of bed, like, please don't ask me to do too much. Do a 1. But be intentional about it. Last week, I put the link in the video description. I talked about the power of intention and how setting intentions and living an intention-driven life, understanding that we need to look at processes, not outcomes, because we live in these ideas of outcomes, and that's why we get overwhelmed. So go back to that video and it'll help you better understand why it feels so overwhelming, why we get stuck in these negative cycles, is because we truly believe that being in a negative cycle is less energy and less work than being in an anxious cycle. But for those who are workaholics, you are putting 3 times the stress on yourself for the stress of what is being avoided, for the stress of what you take on instead of what you should be doing, and the consequences of both of those. So it's not that it's less energy and easier. It's actually more energy and harder. But the comfort will keep us in our negative cycle. Remember that there are 4 barriers that trauma creates to prevent our success. Fear of success, fear of failure, self-sabotage, and scarcity mindset. And they will pull us into that perceived reality that keeps us in an avoidant state. And when we can ground out of that perceived reality, when we can address all 4 of those barriers, the sky is the limit. And here's the thing about the positive cycle. It gives you more motivation, more capacity, tons and tons of compounded interest and value. It gives you more energy. It gives you more capability. It makes you healthier, which gives you more energy. A lot of compounded interest and energy as well with value. So how do we do it? How do we get into these positive cycles and get out of the negative cycle? Well, first of all, we want to start with the fact that a big part of this is our mindset. And so when we can set a mindset and expectations for success, we're going to be able to have that why and keep pulling for a grounded here and now and get out of that negative dynamic. We want actions and habits. Atomic habits are everything. The first thing you want to do is notice without judgment. Radical acceptance and mindfulness is the first place I go to in all of my clients. And remember, I built a neuroscience-based framework to address and get us into the positive cycle. I have actually created a framework to work with my clients that rewires the brain to give more motivation, more purpose to live happier and healthier lives. And so the first thing we do is we learn about mindfulness. We learn about radical acceptance. We start looking at our habits and our behaviors without judgment and ask ourselves, does this serve me? We start to look at feedback and reinforcement. No, it doesn't serve me. So why am I doing this? I'm just mindlessly scrolling on this phone, one thing after another. Why am I doing this? And instead of judging yourself for all the things you should and could be doing, the what ifs of what you're missing, be present with it. Say, I'm bored, I'm tired, it's been a long day and I just don't want to feed my brain. But when you are scrolling, you're flooding with dopamine. Your brain actually hurts from all of the stimulation. There are better ways. Click on the link in the video description. Schedule a consult. I'll get you out of this. This is what my bread and butter is getting people into positive cycles. And as we get out of feeding these negative biases, these hedonic adaptations, and these lack of intentionalities, we start to get into this understanding of what the fleeting nature of happiness is. And what's happening is we're not staying in the positive cycle because of that negative bias, because of the comparison trap. We find ourselves relating to others and what they're doing, what we're not doing, what we're doing, what they're not doing, instead of staying true to ourselves in the here and now. We inflate expectations of what they should and could be doing, or what we should and could be doing, instead of staying in the here and now. And we have emotional adaptation, where our brains will actually regulate emotions, returning to a baseline after highs and lows. And so there's this homeostasis that when we have a chaotic situation, our brain wants to stay in chaos. It's comfortable there. It's predictable there. And only we can change that chaos so we can find comfort in the relaxation and not in the chaos. This is what my practice does. It rewires people's brains so that they have purpose, they have joy, they live happier and healthier lives. They have more motivation to want to engage in these things because they understand why they do the things they do. They remove all the shame and guilt and judgment around it because of the tips and tricks and tools that I teach them. And the neuroscience of positive states is the foundation to my coaching program and how we maintain these positive states. It's dopamine, serotonin, and cortisol. Dopamine is a reward chemical, and people think that we need all this dopamine to be happy, but truly it's there for motivation and pleasure. It's not the happy drug. And it comes because every time you do something, it's firing. Every time you click something, you swipe right, you see a bright light on the screen, it's firing. And so what you're doing is you're flooding your brain and you're making it really, really hard to make decisions. A to-do list does the same thing. And do you know the first thing you check off on a to-do list? Make a to-do list. And you're already getting that dopamine, feeling really capable and confident. It will take you everywhere in life. The serotonin is about well-being and contentment. It's about this understanding of how your brain is finding joy and pleasure in life. And again, you can flood it and you can mess with the receptors of how it's uptaking. And when you do that, it's making you feel less valued, less present, less connected to your agency. Find yourself helpless and hopeless. And that cortisol is the stress hormone, and it counteracts happiness. Especially when we chronically elevate it because of stress, it's going to go off. It's going to get the tummy. It's going to make you crave carbs. It's going to make you feel terrible. It'll give you a little bit of a burst of energy, but you're in fight, flight, or freeze. You can't do anything with it. But learning my program helps people to better understand how to make stress move them forward and not hold them back. And so what we want to do is we want to build positive feedback loops. We want to start small. We want to be intentional and meaningful. We want to say, I am doing this for a purpose. I see the reward. I'm doing this for a purpose. I see a reward. We want to train our brain for happiness through mindfulness and being present in the here and now, to let go of all this judgment and perceived expectations. Perceived expectations is the killer of joy. Let it go. Just live life. See what happens. Have a growth mindset. Have self-compassion. And as always, have radical acceptance. And the more that you are present and not seeking external validation and comparing yourself with others, the more that you are in the present and here and now, the more that you are prioritizing yourself and your self-care and finding balance, the more that you're going to find that you are in a happier and healthier life. So we're going to live intentionally. We're going to have emotional mastery. We're going to have authentic connection, and we're going to build a growth mindset. All of this is going to be in a toolkit, so go to the video description and click on and access our toolkit. We have so much great information on the Counseling Wellness Solutions website. I've got lots of blogs in there. We're activating our Master Success class for couples. We are continuing our love story. So go on a journey with your partner and Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions to be able to continue that love story. Learn what the dynamic is between the two of you so that you can break the negative dynamic, find presence and value in the here and now, and live a life of joy and purpose and meaning. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. Thank you so much. If you like this video, please thumbs up it. Share it with others who are also struggling to find purpose and meaning and happiness in their life. Subscribe and find great information. We are going through my third book, the third workbook on the key steps to live a happier and healthier life, interpersonal effectiveness. Every week is a new chapter in the book. So subscribe, learn everything you want to live a happier and healthier life.